The story of democracy. Human beings have always been concerned about governance since it affects them directly. Primitive tribes used to choose the ablest and strongest man to lead them. A greedy ruler would extract high taxes and keep the people poor and starving. For this reason, benevolent kings were adored while tyrants and despots were abhorred. Those were the days of monarchy, when kings ruled over countries and kingship was hereditary. That is, a prince used to inherit the kingdom when his father, the king, either died or was abdicated. Since no one could question their authority, kings ruled according to their nature. However, there were some good kings too, who always thought about the welfare of their subjects. Such wise and enlightened rulers ushered in the times of peace and prosperity. There were also kings who were more interested in their personal glory alone. These kings fought wars to expand their empires and taxed the people heavily, either directly or indirectly, so as to maintain large armies. This type of kingship usually brought much misery and hardship to the common people. These kings lived lavishly, while the masses generally lived lives of abject poverty. It was only when revolutions broke out in Europe in the 17th and 18th centuries that restrictions began to be put on the absolute powers of the kings. In certain countries, such as France, the king was executed and the people took charge of the government. Thus, these governments had no choice but to rule according to the established laws and not as per their whims. Secondly, since such governments were answerable, accountable to the people they governed, they followed policies that were in the favor of the majority of the people and not just a small set of privileged people. Thus, the authority of the people gradually became supreme across the world. In many countries, monarchies were either abolished or the king was abdicated voluntarily. For example, the recent case of Bhutan, where King Jigme Singya Wangchuk stepped down in favor of a democratic setup. In other cases, such as King Gyanendra Shah of Nepal, was forced to abdicate in favor of the democratic government. Meaning of democracy. In modern times, governments in most countries are run by people's representatives. This is known as democracy. Abraham Lincoln happened to unintentionally, while delivering the famous Gettysburg Address, define a democratic type of government as a government of the people, by the people, for the people. This type of government is considered to be the best form of government despite its drawbacks. In this system, the people themselves elect government, that is, their representatives who actually run the government. The people take part in all the activities of the government and exercise full control over it, because a government that does not do its work properly can be replaced by another set of representatives who do so. The representatives of the people not only make laws but also ensure that these laws are fully implemented and that no injustice is done to any individual. Democracy is based on the principle of equality. Since all men are born equal, they must have equal rights, equal opportunities, and equal status before the law. The latter is known as the rule of law. In a democratic government, there is no distinction between citizens on the basis of race, religion, caste, color, and birth. Equal opportunities are provided to all to be educated, to grow as good citizens, and to earn their living. They are also given equal rights to cast their votes for electing representatives in the government, to seek election, and to hold offices for which they are eligible, whether in terms of age, qualifications, or experience. Democracy ensures that all eligible citizens have an equal right to participate in the governance at whatever level, local, regional, or national. Development in India. One of the earliest instances of democracy in a civilization was found in the republics of ancient India, which were established sometime prior to the birth of Gautam Buddha. These republics were known as Mahajanapadas, and among these states, Vaishali in present-day Bihar was the world's first republic. The democratic Sangha, Gana, and Panchayat systems were used in some of these republics. The panchayat system is still in vogue in Indian villages. In fact, it is the backbone of the democratic setup. The Greek period. The city-states of Athens, Greece, was among the first and one of the most important democracies in ancient times. This type of governance was invented by Athenians around 508 BC. In other cases, decisions were based on majority vote, that is, if most of the people opted for a particular course of action, it was accepted by everyone. Democracy in ancient Athens meant that decision-making was left to citizens, but the term citizen was so narrow that only about half of the population could participate in the voting process.